You're listening to the Academy Podcast, presenting an innovative curriculum for personal growth. Sit in on exclusive conversations with influential people as they share the secrets that made them the front runners in their industries. Now here are your hosts, Austin and Kagia.
All right, we're glad you all joined us today in the Academy Podcast. I'm here with my friend Austin, and we come to you all with another good subject. Just right off the bat, to get right into it, man, I'm tripping because my wife is a nurse, and Doc, it's crazy. Sometimes I forget, when she has a few days off, we just kind of going about our life. There's somebody around me that's sick, and I forget how serious this is, man, and then I drop her off. And man, when she gets into the door, for one, I gotta leave. I can't sit there and watch her walk in, even though I like to watch her walk in. When she goes in, dude, she has to get her temperature taken.
Right.
Before they let her in the building. They asked her a series of questions. Yesterday, she said she went to lunch and she had to leave the building and go to another building to eat. When she came back in, they almost didn't let her in because they said her temperature was too high.
Wow.
It was just high, dude, because she was walking out in the sun. So she had to sit there and wait for her body temperature to go down.
Right.
Skin temperature to go down before they ran the test again to check her temperature before they let her back into work.
Every time they let her in?
Yeah, it's every time. They have to, and most of the doors in the hospital are shut. So there are only certain doors that you can come in. No visitors. It's a whole different deal, man. This thing is serious.
Yeah, it's difficult. And what's it like for you? I mean, is there a fear for you as a spouse of a nurse?
We got a whole system. Like when she comes in, I have her robe hanging on a hook in the garage. Right. We got a cabinet where I put her house shoes, and then when she comes, she'll change in the garage, put her stuff in the bag, and put her clothes in the bag, change from her work shoes, put them in the cabinet, put on her house shoes, come in her robe.
Right.
So she's clean. And then later on, I'll go and get those clothes and wash them. So it's a whole system, man. So, and my wife she got it down, man.
Yeah, I feel you. It's crazy because, the nurses and the doctors and health professionals, they're the first line. They're the first line of defense almost. They're the responders who step up to the plate. They're the heroes. We see all the posts on social media. Not all heroes wear capes, and that's really true. Today is a really important topic to us. All of us those of you who are listening or you're watching us, all of us have got people who've been affected by this COVID-19 thing. All of us have people who or know people who are working on the front lines to get things done. And so today we're just going to have a real, just an awesome conversation with somebody who has really been on the front lines. I'm really excited to bring this guest on, man. This is my homegirl right here. We go way, way, way back to college, even though I'm not as old as you, but still way back enough to talk. And I'm so grateful and thankful. I'm gonna bring her on. I'm excited to have Monique Johnson here, nurse of 8 years. Monique, what's going on? How you feeling?
Hey, good. First of all, how old do you think I am?
I was saying, no, I'm talking to G, not you. We're on the same page.
Okay.
No, we graduated actually, she graduated a year ahead of me, but I think we're around the same age, though.
Yeah, I'm 29.
No, yeah, we went to Oakwood together, Oakwood University, Huntsville, Alabama, man. And Monique is an awesome person. She's not only a fantastic nurse, as we'll discover later on. Monique's hilarious. She's a comedian. She's someone who brings life into every room. Monique, we're just really excited and thankful and grateful that you could take time out of your busy schedule to talk to us on the Academy Podcast. But how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm here at a hotel in Miami, Florida. So I'm quarantining.
But doing good, though. I hear you.
Doing good.
I hear you. So, G, a part of Monique's job, she's not just a nurse, she's a traveling nurse. And Monique has had the awesome opportunity to be in New York City for over a month, which is really just a hot zone for what happened with COVID-19. And she really battled and worked with other great nurses in her department to help and fight against this disease and help people out. And so, Monique, we're just so thankful and grateful that you came on. We want to talk a lot about those things. The first question we have for you this afternoon really for us is, listen, how was your overall experience now that you're back? Talk to us about just how you feel.
Yes, it was an amazing experience, to be honest. Once in a lifetime experience. I mean, how many people get to live during a pandemic, period? And then how many people get to live and serve during a pandemic?
Mm.
So I counted it as a high honor and privilege to be able to have that experience as a nurse. The experience was, of course, very sad to be surrounded by death on that level.
Right.
Literally, some people say, well, was it as bad as the news? Yes. I would say, if anything, maybe even a little worse than the news, because, the news doesn't really capture everything to its essence. But initially, I would say yes, dead bodies everywhere. I mean, I'm opening doors to look for a blood pressure cuff and I'm bumping into a dead body. I mean, they're like everywhere. So it was very, like, I almost kind of felt like I was in the military in a sense. It's kind of like, help all that you can help, but don't feel bad when you can't help everyone, because a part of me wants to help everyone, and you still try to help everyone. But when you're in such a heavy pandemic and you're low staff, it's just a lot of just prioritizing and stuff like that. So
help me with this. And I kind of hate when we're talking about sports. A lot of times we talk about your favorite players. It's a big game. They're going to war. We always talk about it. It's a battle, and they're always using all these terms that come from war. And now when I hear that you all are on the front line, to me it seems a lot closer to the reality of going to war, because your lives are on the line. When you hear the terminology on the front lines and that you're a frontline worker, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that's a super great question. To be honest, I don't feel any type of way about it. Like, in my head, I've always been a frontliner. Like, I don't like anything to change. Like, most of my nursing career has been in the emergency room. A lot of people hate working the emergency room because it is the front line. Before you so many times I've treated a patient, whether it be with tuberculosis or some type of disease, and I don't know that that's what they have, because when someone walks in the door, you don't know what they have yet. And then I get an email like 2 days later, like, oh, Monique, that patient you took care of had tuberculosis. Please go get checked. And you're like, oh, great. So I feel like working in the emergency room has always been the front line. When I first started working in the emergency room, I used to get sick all the time. And then all of a sudden my immunity just was like, oh, forget it. We got used to it. So I think the term frontliner, I think it's an appropriate term, but I will say that I didn't feel any different. Like, when people are so nice and kind, and they will say things like, thank you for your service and thank you for serving on the front line. But I kind of just feel like, wait a minute, like, I've been doing this like for years, like
right.
might be in abundance at this time, because of the pandemic and everything like that. But I personally feel like every time I go into work, especially working the emergency room, I feel like I've been working frontline all this time. I've had guns pulled out on me in the past, in the emergency room. I've been hit by patients in the emergency room. So, I mean, I just feel like this is not really any different from a frontline perspective.
Okay, for sure. So let's talk about just you deciding to go to New York. What was the thought process behind it? How did it happen? What made you feel the calling to go down there and be a part?
Yeah, so one of my girlfriends, who actually also went to Oakwood, we went to, we were social distancing and we were all together to celebrate her birthday. And one of the girls was saying that she brought it up to my attention that she was going to go. And she was a little bit nervous and stuff like that. And I was just hanging out, my one of the jobs that I had, because I just moved back home, I was trying to just be a normal human being and live in one spot. And so I started working like at a surgery center, super chill job. And they went into furlough. So then I didn't have a job for a little while. And I was like, oh, I don't care. Like, I'm just going to hang out and relax at home. So I was really excited about not working.
Right.
But then when I saw that nurses were kind of like getting up to go help in New York, I was like, oh, that sounds like a personal problem. Like, that has nothing to do with me. And I sat there with my popcorn, like, oh, well, I'm just going to hang out and watch, hang out. And then I think it really struck me when I realized that, like, nurses were coming out of retirement, like nurses that never worked in the ER, that were like, I mean, no offense to other nurses, but nurses that you could arguably say were not really qualified for the duty, were stepping up to the plate to take on the role. But then here I am feeling like super qualified because I work emergency room. I worked in like 13 different states. Like, I've traveled. Like, I just felt like I actually had the qualifications for the job and I had the time off. And I was just like, but I don't want to go. But it really just like struck me at that time, like, Monique, like, you are so equipped for this position. Like, it will be a disgrace to be so equipped and for you to not step up to the plate. So I kind of felt like a Jonah type of thing where I was like, no, I'm not going. But then what happened was you actually have to call to go. You can't, you have to call. And not only do you have to call, it's not just like once. I was on the phone for 4 hours trying to call. I called over 840 times to try to get in. So I didn't want to go, but I was like, I'm going to keep calling, Lord. I'm going to keep. And so what they do is they post it and they say, our lines are open. If you want to go, call. And then I guess there's only a few lines open. So you just keep calling and hang up, keep calling and hang up. And I said, oh, well, I'm not getting through. I said, well, God, if you want me to go, you'll let me get through. And I mean, I was on the phone 4 hours later, someone answered. I was like, darn it, you know, like I'm going, you know. So, and it was really funny because after I got in and they gave me all my information on the phone, like literally, I kid you not, like 8 minutes later, they put up a post saying all lines were closed and that they had everything. And I was like, man, I did it in the nick of time. So I just felt like it was divine intervention, and that's where God wanted me to go.
Okay, so I know you weren't itching to go, but you went out of a sense of duty. So how did those things? How did you weigh those? Like, I know you told us already you felt like you're highly qualified to do it.
Right.
You need to be there. But like after they answered the phone and after you kind of scheduled it, what kind of feedback did you get from your family or from your friends when they found out that you were going up there? What kind of second did you ever think maybe I made a mistake by taking this?
No, I never thought I made a mistake. I didn't think I made a mistake. I've learned through my travel experience that most times the thought is worse than the actual event. So if you keep on thinking about it and you're getting anxious about, oh my gosh, you'll work yourself up, you know, and then when you'll get there, and then the thought of the unknown is, you know, the scariest part. But but no, I didn't think when I told my family, you know, my family is really used to my really rash decisions, I would say, because I mean, I am always making some super random decision. So I think, you know, my mom was just kind of like, you know, you sure that's where you want to go? And in addition to that, like I have some health stuff that I've been trying to figure out myself. I'm like a mystery diagnosis. So my mom was really concerned about me and my health because she's like, you need to like possibly have this surgery. Like I had a surgery scheduled for May 6th.
Wow.
And, you know, and she was like, you know, you need to figure out what's going on with your health and you don't feel well and stuff. So she was really like scared because she's like, you don't feel well. What if something happens to you when you're out there because you don't feel well? And like, you're swelling. Like I've been swelling everywhere and just random stuff. So she felt really like, she was really nervous on just for that reason, which is one of the reasons why I didn't want to tell her, but I told her anyway.
Right.
And my dad, you know, I just kind of like told my brothers were just kind of like, are you sure that's what you want to do? And I was like, yeah, you know, like I'm going. Because my whole thing too was like, I can get COVID at home. You know, like I can go to the store and go to the grocery store and go and get COVID looking for toilet paper.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I might as well get COVID in New York doing something than get COVID hanging out at home. That's kind of like how I looked at it. If 80% of the U.S. going to get COVID, I'm like, I might as well just go out and get it. You know, doing something like good.
Right.
So, that was kind of my thing.
So what is it? So now that you're there, it's a quick question because my wife, her department got shut down, and so she is not able to work in her own department where she has all her friends. Everything is where she knows it is. And so every day she goes in, if she's in another department, it takes her time to get acclimated to that department. As a traveling nurse, are you just used to going in new places and just take it as an adventure and you can just pick up on it pretty quick? Or is there a time frame that it takes you to really get settled in when you go to a new location?
Man, honestly, I would say when you go somewhere as a travel nurse, it's because they have a need and they need you to start like right away. So if you take too long to adjust, they're going to complain about you. They're going to say, why'd you guys send me this nurse that can't figure this stuff out, you know? So I try to be like the best travel nurse ever. And when I get there, there's usually certain questions specifically that I need to know. Some people try to take you on this whole tour. Let me show you where the bathroom is and let me show you. I don't need to know. There's a few things I need to know. Where's the exit? Like when the patients are leaving, where do I escort them to? I need to know, like, where are your supplies, your supply rooms? Like, I just kind of have a certain amount of questions, like a certain things that I just know in my head from my experience that I just need to know. Where are your blood pressure cuffs? What is your protocol? Because every hospital has a different protocol for stroke. What is your heart attack protocol? Where's your cath lab? Do you have a cath lab?
Right.
Where's your CAT scan? What's the policy? When a patient gets admitted, do I have to bring them up? Like, there's just certain questions that I just like know right off because there's certain facilities do things differently. And then that's it. At that point, to be honest, especially like as an ER person, every ER is like the same, but different. So if you come in with abdominal pain, I know that the same thing I do for a patient with abdominal pain in Alabama is the same thing I'm doing for a patient with abdominal pain in Florida. It's the same thing. I'm going to have to start an IV. I'm going to have to draw some blood work. The doctors might be a little bit different. They might be a little bit of a different in their protocol, but very similar. And then, it's just, I would say usually within 2 weeks, I'm like, I feel usually after about two shifts, I feel super proficient. After 2 weeks, I feel like I've been working there for a year. That's what I feel like.
So for you and, being in there, you're in New York and you have other nurses that are with you that came. How many nurses was your group with? I know I saw some pictures on your social media that it was a lot of you all that were bust in and bust out. Talk about that.
Yeah. There was a lot. So our group, I went with the staffing agency, and the staffing agency I went with brought out a total of almost 4,000 nurses.
Wow.
Brought out a lot. In my group, they call them waves. So there's like wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. I came on like wave 3, I think. And I think my wave came with like 500 nurses. But then when you come with 500 nurses, a lot of them leave. They're like, forget this, peace out. So quite a few nurses left like initially. So it kind of left us with maybe like 350 out of the 500 of my group stayed. And then we get split up amongst hospitals. So at my hospital on my night, I was working night shift. On my shift, there was like maybe 20 of us that went in together on the bus together.
So what were the days like? Give us a day in the life of a travel nurse in New York City during COVID-19.
Yeah. So I would say, we had to work every day. The stipulation was work 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week. So we were working like 88 hours a week. Like there was no days off. Like that was it. That was the most nervous part for me because I have never worked more than 3 days in a row in my entire nursing career. And I hate working 3 days in a row. So each day we would get up and it would be just like clockwork. We'd go downstairs to the bus. We were staying at a hotel. They housed us in hotels like in Times Square. And the bus would come and we would all load up the buses. And there would be like maybe 10 different buses filled up with nurses, respiratory therapists, PAs going to different hospitals. So I would put my hospital name on my bus and get on that bus, sign in. And it'd be about a 30-minute bus ride to the hospital that I was at in the Bronx. And it was, after a while, it became really easy, like a routine, like, okay, go to work, get off, go to sleep, wake up, get on the bus, go to work, get off. It was just like, there was no time for some people would say, oh, you're in New York, let's hang out. And I'm like, what do you think I'm here for? Like, I don't have time to hang out. Some people were getting offended. Like, I called you didn't answer. And I'm like, I don't know what you think I'm doing. Like, I don't really have time for phone calls right now. So it was really just like, and they were really nice about like, people are so kind. Like, this experience has really taught me how kind humanity is. We used to have so much, people were sending us so much food. So like we had meals provided for us, whether it was breakfast, dinner, like, so I didn't have to worry unless I wanted to just get something different. I didn't have to worry about going out of my way to go and try to find food. It was like right before you got on the bus, you just grabbed your dinner, got on the bus, ate it on the bus, went to work. They would provide some restaurant or somebody would drop off food in the ER. I would eat, go back to work. So that made it so much easier to not have to worry about like food. And I'm vegetarian, and they made sure there was a vegetarian meal there like every day. So that was amazing. Like that really helped.
So with you being there from day to day, being a person of faith, how was your faith tested while you were there? I mean, and you're a nurse, so you see, like you said, you're on the front lines. But for this, in this pandemic, you working and serving in the pandemic, how were you able to manage this with your faith?
Yeah, I would say just trying to hold on and have faith that God knows what he's doing. A lot of times, especially in such situations like this, a lot of people will say, well, if there's a God, like, why is all this bad stuff happening? And if there's a God, then why is this? And even working with, people there who would have those questions and stuff too. And it's just kind of like, as a faith believer, especially as a Seventh-day Adventist, where, we believe in the end times and stuff like that,
right?
We kind of are almost like expecting these types of things to happen. But I would say a lot of times Seventh-day Adventists, the problem that a lot of them have is because we're expecting a lot of these bad things to happen, we lack sympathy. They'll say like, oh, my mom is dying from this pandemic. Well, it's the end times. Jesus is coming. I hope your mom was saved. I hope she was ready. And it's like, wait, what? Like, where's the sympathy? Like, just because we were expecting these times, and just because we're expecting times to get worse and certain plagues or whatever illnesses to happen, doesn't mean that we don't still show sympathy to each other and that we don't still have that heart towards each other. Right. So I think for me, that's one of the things too, where it's like, it's scary because it's like, okay, well, I kind of know that these things are going to happen, but at the same time, it really hurts to see, one of my friends lose all their family members, or, there's people that have literally lost like their mom, their dad, their sister, their brother, like their whole household just died. And so it's just that was really hard to see. But like you said, just kind of leaning on your faith and knowing that, in my belief that, Jesus is coming and that God knows like what he's doing. Just
right. And are you able to share your faith at all as in environments like that?
Yeah, so I was able to, and it's really funny because like one of the doctors I was working with, he kept making fun of me because some people don't, they've heard about Seventh-day Adventists, but they kind of have their own, and they would say, "Oh, she's Seventh-day Adventist." Oh, and they would make fun of me, and oh, what's that necklace you're wearing then? Oh, so you're just making up your own Seventh-day Adventist rules. I'm like, like, like what? So I've been able to just kind of like share my fundamental beliefs, just share like my lifestyle. Some patients that were, whether it's like passing away, I've been able to pray with them. Just like really being able to, sometimes people will just come up to me and be like, there's something different about you. My is really sensitive, are you a Christian? And I'd be like, yeah, I am, so, or sometimes just like family members. So one of the, like you guys were mentioning before, it's really difficult because people are going into the hospitals by themselves. Mm-hmm. So once the family members drop their loved ones off, that's it. They like never see them again. But they don't drop them off thinking that their family member is not going to, be discharged. They come walking in and then never come back out. So that's always like a really scary thing for the family members. So whether it's like, talking to the family members on the phone, FaceTiming with the family members, praying with the family members, just like a lot of those things, they required a lot of, I would say faith-based for me, just trying to keep them encouraged. And luckily for me, a lot of the patients and family members that I did believe in God. So right. I think that made it a lot easier versus like if I was dealing with a lot of atheists and stuff like that, I think it would be a lot harder. But a lot of the patients there did have a belief in God and things like that. So it made it easier.
So tell me, I know there's a lot of bleakness involved in working up there, but tell me about one, like just bright spot, just one thing that sticks out to you is just that you didn't expect, that just kind of warms your heart when you think about it.
A bright spot. There was actually a lot of bright spots, to be honest. People really tried to make the best out of a lot of things. I would say one of the bright spots was one day on our bus, they came on and they said, "You guys are gonna have a great bus ride. We're gonna have like a karaoke something," and they just started playing all this music on the bus, and we had to get up and dance. I felt like I was on a cruise, the $10 dollar. I mean, all kind of stuff was going on in there. And then one day we were just getting on the bus, and this cameraman came running on our bus, and it was with like Good Morning America or whatnot. Have you seen this? And they just, "We're gonna provide you guys with food every day," and like we ended up being like on the news thing on our bus, and it just like really kind stuff like that. Really tried to cheer up a lot of our bus rides to work, because half the time we were on the bus like, going back in, and they would come on there and really try to like just cheer us up. Our agency tried to do a lot of things to, they actually had counselors every single day when we came off the bus. There were counselors and pastors in our hotel lobby to greet us. So if you needed to pray with anyone or you needed a counselor, they were every single day. It wasn't like, oh, sometimes. It was every single day when we got off the bus back to our hotel. I would stop there and pray on Easter, because I was there during Easter. They had like communion there served for you.
Wow.
They made sure to really try to take care of your mental health, your spiritual health, your well-being, and just kind of try to just drop, sometimes you go to your hotel door and there would just be like a little box of candy just saying like, oh, we care about you. And I actually had a few of my, on Instagram, a few of my Instagram followers that I've never even met before sent me a box to my hotel full of just amazing stuff.
Wow.
Like expensive facial products, like, which is why my skin looks so good. I have no makeup on, like, skin looks so good from these facial products, bath products, like some people sent PPE, sent masks, like,
wow.
I mean, people that I've never even met before, some people that I have met before, but I worked with maybe years ago and haven't seen them. I mean, they were sending me stuff, and I just honestly could not even believe that humanity was actually that good, like, I mean, I'm not a negative person. I always knew humanity was good, but I mean, to be going out of your way to like send me full blown packages, like I didn't know it was like that, So those things really brightened my day. Like when I got those packages, I kind of felt like a military person. Like when you send people in the military packages and they're just like super excited, like it actually brought tears to my eyes to get packages from like strangers, like specifically to me, and they paid attention to like stuff that I like. So they know I like ginger tea. They were sending me ginger tea, like things that I like, they knew that I liked from whether it is looking at my Instagram or my YouTube or something. So that was like really nice.
So just, I was thinking about people coming home from Nam, and just what I heard was that they didn't get the support that many people came back coming from different wars. And I was thinking about you and the way you were talking, and just looking at your face as you were talking about it. It goes a long way, because when I asked you for a bright spot, I didn't expect for you to come from that angle, but there was a lot of the support that you got from strangers, from other people, from friends. It was the support that really brightened you on. So now, I mean, it helps us to know as pastors and as people, how important it is to support people that are on the front lines for us, to support people that are working for us, to say to police officers, thank you for what you're doing, to appreciate people and to show that you appreciate them. So thank you for letting me know that the brightest thing that happened to you was the support. Yes, that.
So nice. And every day at 7 p.m., the whole city claps. And I was walking one day and I said, why is everyone making all this noise? What is all this clapping? Pots hitting. And I said, what is going on in New York? And everybody's like, thank you. And I'm like, what is even going on? Every single day at 7 o'clock, rain, snow, whatever, the whole city opens their windows and just starts clapping and cheering. And I'm just like,
that's amazing.
I never really got to hear it because I work night shift and my shift started at 7. So I was usually at work during that time. But I mean, just I caught it like once or twice, and it was just like, wow, this is like so cool,
Yeah.
So go ahead, G.
Well, I asked you about a bright spot, but also, I mean, in tragic areas, there's still things that happen that make us laugh. Can you just give us just an episode that just was hilarious, that made you laugh? What happened that was funny in the midst of all that?
So there was, I don't know, my humor is probably a little weird, but I mean, there was a lot of funny things that happened. One being, most like 90% of the hospital was coronavirus. So everybody had corona, but then you'd get these patients that would come in and they were not coronavirus. And they were just like a lot of like homeless or psychiatric that like were just looking. And we had, one person come in and she just wanted somewhere to sleep, but it was time for her to get discharged and she didn't want to get discharged. And she was just causing this whole ruckus. And she literally moved her bottom to the side of the bed and pooped right on my shoe.
No way.
That's your funny?
It was so funny. I mean, we were laughing for so long because she put her butt right to the side of the bed, pooped on my shoe, and then turned back around and said, "I'm not leaving," and went under the sheet. And we were like,
Oh my goodness.
did this lady just like poop on my shoe?
Oh
Like,
my goodness.
I'm trying to fight Corona here. Like, I don't have time to be getting pooped.
Right.
You know, but it was like, I don't know, it was just like really funny. And she came back like the next week or something, and they messaged me like, "Oh, your best friend is in the lobby." You know, it was quite funny. I mean, there's a lot of just funny things. You know, the people there are so just funny, and you know, New Yorkers are like some of my favorite people. Their sense of humor is top notch. Yeah. And they're real people, and they're used to a rough. I mean, I don't know if your wife or anyone's ever worked in New York. It's rough working in New York, period.
Yeah.
Even pre-corona, you like have to have some type of sense of humor to just. I've worked in New York 2 times before in the past, and it was always rough. Right. So you have to have some type of sense of humor to like even to even stay in that area. So
I think if it was a scale of some sort, then your sense of humor must be like way over the top.
It's way
for you to say she pooped on my shoe, that was funny.
My sense of humor is inappropriate. That's the scale that it's on.
You know, I think you got to have some of that sense of humor just to kind of manage all the tension that you kind of experience. And I think it's good that there are certain moments that may, you know, freak people out or may disgust other people, but for you to have that laughter, I think that's good. That's good quality to have, especially with all the things that you do see. You know, as you know, coming out of Oakwood, I'm sure you never expected to have some of the experiences that you've had. For those who are watching who want to be a traveling nurse, those who are coming fresh out of any university or college, what would be some advice that you'd have for them in going into the field that you're in now?
Man, I would just say, like, it sounds so cliche. So cliche, but I would say to truly follow your heart. The thing with travel nursing, my biggest obstacle has been other people. A lot of people in this life are very stable and responsible people, which is great. But the travel nurse life sometimes is not the most stable life. People will try to deter you from doing it or going certain places. Like I went to rural Alaska and lived there for a little while. And so many people were like, "Don't go there. I heard this. Don't do this. I heard that. I heard this." And people will try to deter you from your mission, or, you know, deter you from something that you feel like you have a calling for on your life. So I think that is probably one of the biggest things, is that if you feel called to do something, or you just feel this burning desire, like this is something you want to do, then do it. Like at the end of the day, even if I don't believe that there's no such thing as a bad decision. Right. I think every decision is a decision on the path to your purpose. So if it was going the wrong way, then okay, you might have a little detour to your purpose. But if it was going in the right way, you're on the way. So just prayerfully make those decisions. Keep praying, you know, ask God to keep you in His will. But at the end of the day, just every experience is a learning experience. You know, take your first. Usually, you have to be a nurse for at least about 2 years before you can become a travel nurse. Right. So those years that you are nursing, I would say take them seriously. Try to get as much experience as you can get. Try to get into a specialty that you would want to travel in. So if you know that you want to become a travel nurse and you want to be a travel nurse in the ER, you know, you should totally try to be in the ER in your first, at least spend one of those 2 years in the ER or in a specialty that you want to travel in. That way you can have that experience already set and ready for you. So
can I ask you, did you feel prepared after leaving? Did you, straight up, did you just kind of, or did you just feel like these experiences have really just given you what you've needed?
Did I feel prepared when I got to New York?
Right. No, I'm talking about when you left college after nursing school. Did you feel prepared?
No, absolutely not. Oh, I left nursing school. I passed the nursing boards and everything, and then they were like, "You're a nurse," and I was like, "Are you sure?" Because like I barely even know how to start an IV.
Right.
You know, like, I'm like, "You sure you can call me a nurse?" Like. But the thing is, when you're a new, I kind of compare it to like, you know, it's a specialty. So like when you go to nursing school is there to just teach you the basics of nursing. Right. That once you become a nurse and you get your first nursing job, that specialty that you get into, you're going to learn that specialty, and you're going to learn everything that is applied to that specialty. Because even my first nursing job, it was a cardiovascular surgical. I still didn't know how to start an IV. Like, I still didn't know how to do it because we didn't do IVs. We had central lines. All of our patients had central lines. We were doing chest tubes. I mean, I knew how to do all sorts of random stuff, but IVs were not one of them. I did not learn how to start IVs until I went to the emergency room, and you're starting IVs on a like, 15, 20 IVs a day. So I think that a lot of times when nurses graduate, they feel like they need to know everything already. Like they need to burst up in the hospital, like ready to go. And it's totally not the case. It's all like specialty based. Learn that one specialty. They'll have you on orientation for like depending on the hospital, 1 to 3 months or something, or a 6-month plan. And by the time you get off of that, you'll feel very acclimated to your specialty. But even once you switch specialties, anytime I switch specialties, I have to like relearn that whole specialty all over again. And that's okay. Like right now, I'm like learning the pre-op PACU specialty. I was doing like gastroenterology, GI, stuff like that. Like I had to learn that just because I did emergency room doesn't mean that I can just do all aspects of nursing.
Right.
So it's all just like, just take it specialty by specialty and just know that it's all just a full learning process.
Right. Yo, so, before we get ready to wrap some things up, I do want to just ask you, for those who are listening, as we still deal with this pandemic, as we're still social distance, and I'm sure that you've seen some real sad things, experienced some tough things, even in the hospital, even friends that we both know who have lost loved ones. Talk to me about the importance of this social distancing thing. Talk to me about the importance of, as a nurse, what advice can you give to our listeners, our viewers about that?
Yes. I would say social distancing is so important. Not for you. I would say don't think about it for yourself, but think about it for others. Mm-hmm. I think for me personally, like I'm not even going to lie. Like Austin knows when they first came out with the whole Corona and stay home business, I was the last one staying home. They were like, stay home. And I was like, I found a $20 flight to Orlando. I was like, gone. But I was looking at it also more from a perspective of, oh, I'll be fine. Like, oh, I'll be okay. If I get it, like, I'll be fine. But looking at it more of a perspective of, okay, if I get it, I might be fine, but I may still be passing it along to other people. So I think with social distancing, it's very important for you to look at it from a perspective of others. It spreads so easily. When people go home, even most times if one person in the household has it, almost like the whole household gets it. So for me, honestly, I would even say, like, if you live at a house with people, especially if they're older, I would just even wear a mask in my own house because, I mean, there are certain people that you can't distance from if you live in a house with other people. And especially if you have older people in your house or parents or anyone who has illnesses, I would definitely wear a mask in your own house because I've even seen it where, like, there's one nurse that I worked with. He did not have coronavirus and we were at work together, but his wife had gotten coronavirus, but he still didn't have it. So I don't know if, he had at one point brought it home, gave it to his wife, but he was fine.
Wow.
So a lot of times, like even for me, like I've been back home in Florida now for like 10, 11 days. And it's like, yeah, I can go home. They checked my blood work in New York and like looked for antibodies, looked for coronavirus 2 different times and didn't find anything. So I'm probably okay, but I don't really want to take that risk in going home and giving it going at my house. So I do think the social distancing is very important. But even amongst, like, it seems like in the social distancing, people are like, yeah, I'm social distancing with my family, but then they're really close all up on these 3-4 people in their house.
Right.
And I honestly just feel like even within the people in your house, like, go ahead and sit on the other side of the couch, Like,
I hear you. I'm going down with the ship. I can stay away from my sons, maybe, but
hey, you're not gonna distance from your wife, man? You're not gonna social distance?
No, sir, Doc. No, sir.
That's all. That's all right. I don't blame you.
The spoons are still in the drawer. Amen. We are not in those days. You remember watching TV and they had separate beds?
Yeah.
No,
this is not that.
No. Even with Rona, we ain't doing that. So look, I know that you say it's serious, but there are people who are not convinced, and I believe in both the candy and the stick. And so, could you share with us a story that will kind of bring home the fact that it's serious? I know you were exposed to a lot, and we talked about what was bright and what was funny, but what just really struck a chord to you? What was really sad to you that would kind of help some people that are not taking this thing seriously, maybe see it from another angle and begin to take it more seriously?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's real. You know, like some people want to say conspiracy theory or 5G
Right.
or all kind of random stuff. But when you see those X-rays and those things like that, like you can't make that stuff up. Or some people say it's not young people, but I would say to make people realize that it's serious. So one thing being, I'll start with this. I don't really believe in convincing people. I'm kind of one of those people that's like, I believe what I believe, you believe what you believe, best of luck to you. Like I'm one of those. So I kind of feel like those people come in like, oh, it's not real. Oh, it's this. Like I've had people say that to me in the hospital in New York. Oh, they say, I don't think I have it. And then they died. And I'm like, okay, I wonder what they're thinking now, you know, like, so I would say this, like at the end of the day, we don't really know, you know, where it started or what caused it, or we're still researching a lot of, you know, what it is. But I will say it's not like the flu. Some people will say, oh, but it's like the flu. It's not like the flu.
Mhm.
When you look at it on the X-ray, it looks more like bilateral pneumonia. It's almost like you get this and you get an instant infiltration of your lungs, like of like pneumonia. You get blood clots. A lot of the people get lots of blood clots. So what we would find would be, I remember one lady was sitting there talking just like how I'm talking to you, and she was like, "Can I get some water? Can I get some water?" And the nurse was like, "Yeah, I'll be right back. I'll get you some water." The nurse went to get her some water, came back, and she was dead through a blood clot.
Wow.
Into her heart. You know, the virus creates blood clots in your body. And that's something that was just figured out a few weeks ago. So now we're giving, you know, blood thinners to patients that get coronavirus. So it's like constantly new. It's not like the flu. It comes with blood clots. It comes with pneumonia. It comes with all of these different ailments. And it doesn't matter if you're young. Don't get me wrong. Young people are definitely more likely to not die from it. But we lost this one lady. She was 30 years old, vegan, marathon runner, super healthy, and she passed away. She was a doctor and everything, you know. So it's like one of those things of like you don't really know like how it's gonna affect you. It's like we call it a Russian roulette, because you don't really know. Some people are thinking it has to do with like the lining, the DNA lining of like of your lungs, like how that is affected, even if you're completely healthy. Like it's just so many different things to it. And so you can sit here and say, oh, well, I don't have any risk factors. I take care of my health. Like my dad will say stuff, or some people who have survived coronavirus, they'll say things like, oh, I had the virus, but I was okay because I'm vegan and I eat right. And I'm just looking at them like, don't get me wrong. Those things make a difference, because having a healthy lifestyle definitely helps you be able to battle. But at the same time, there's a lot of people with healthy lifestyles that are still dying from this virus.
Wow.
So I would just say, you know, don't use caution. You know what I mean? Don't sit there and think that you're just invincible. There's lost a lot of, even for me, like, I don't think I'm invincible. You know, I might say, oh, I'm young, I'm healthy, for the most part, but I don't know. Like, you just don't know how it's going to affect you. So, and then you have some people who are 80 years old. Right? I've had some people come into the hospital 80 years old, looking good as ever with coronavirus, and we discharge them home, you know, like, and you're like, what? How did that even happen? You have high blood pressure, you're overweight, you know, 80, and like, why are you okay? You know, so it's just like all of like a Russian roulette. Everybody should really just take it seriously. Take it as though, even if you don't think it's real, just think of it like, oh, well, this 5G or this, whatever you want to call it, might just kill you. So whatever you think it is, like, or whether you think it's the mind, some people say, oh, it's all in the mind. If you think you're fine, then you'll be fine. And I'm like, I mean, I hear that. I do think that there is a lot of, you know, things about training your mind to believe. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that walked into the ER in New York, like, forced to, they would say like, oh, my wife made me come because she thinks I should get tested, but I know I'm fine. It's all in your head. It's all in your head. Dead. And I'm just like, wow. Well, you know, so it's you don't want to be that person. So just use caution, whether you think it's fake, whether you think it's something else, whatever. Like, I don't really care what you think it is. It's just, it's killing, something's killing folk, something.
Right. Yo, so listen, we just want to say, you know, we appreciate you. You know, I know a lot of people say that nurses and doctors are heroes, and we do believe that you're a hero in your own right. That not even just with this pandemic, but even before that, being on the front lines, we appreciate you, Monique. Now I know that you documented this on your YouTube page. Can you tell us how we can find you, how we can see some of these things?
Yeah. I honestly don't even know what my YouTube page name is. It sounds terrible. But if you look, like, I think it's like Monique Jolicia or Travel or Nurse.
Okay.
But Monique Jolicia is like, if you type that in on YouTube, you'll find my channel. But I did document every day. So the first 21 days, that was our original contract, was to work 21 days straight, 12-hour shifts. And so I documented the first 21 days, which I was kind of upset that I put, once I committed to something, I have to do it. But boy, I was tired trying to document the videos and put them together every day.
Right. Yeah, no, I saw a few of them. They were amazing for sure. Listen, so we just appreciate you doing this for us. Thank you for coming on the Academy. Gee, I gotta say this about my homegirl Monique. She is also a foodie, and I just gotta ask her this last question: is there anything fantastic you ate in New York? What's one thing that you was just like, yo, this was amazing?
So there's two. I actually just told someone about it. Every day before we went on the bus, World Kitchen, they would provide us with food. And they used to give us this falafel salad bowl. I know it sounds like so not good, but when I would see that that's what was for dinner that day, this falafel salad bowl, I would be like, oh my gosh, the falafel salad bowl. Like I would be, and I'd get on the bus and they'd say, oh, Monique's happy today. They got that falafel salad bowl.
Yeah.
So good. And then there was this one restaurant in the Bronx. It was, I don't really like Chinese food. I don't know what it is. It's like too salty and whatever.
Right.
There was just one like Asian restaurant and they provided, everything sounds nasty when I say it, but it was really good. It was dumplings stuffed with mushroom stuffed dumplings with eggplant, garlic glazed sauce over the eggplant. It sounds really gross when I say it, but when you ate it, it was like so good and so flavorful. And I was just like, oh, this is hitting. I loved it.
That's what's up.
Well, listen, I'm so glad that you took the call or made the 400 calls.
800.
Woo! Well, I'm so glad you did it, and you also spent time with us. And I know the world is going to be happy, whoever gets to listen to this. And to you all who are listening, we're glad you joined us in the AP today. Listen, we love you. We're glad you're here, but we want you to tell your friend. And then when you tell them to tell their friend. So we can get some more people to get exposed to things like you heard today. So if you learned something great, come back again. We'll see you when you get here.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Next time.
Thanks for having me. Be careful.
No doubt. Thanks, Monique.
You've been listening to the Academy Podcast with Austin and G. Hit the subscribe button and come again. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, and of course, Facebook. Oh yeah, and if you know someone who could use the information you just gained, take a minute to share. Much love from the AP.